Hi, welcome back to Add-on YouTube channel. I'm Benedict Wong, Regional Service Director for Add-on. Together with me, I have Louis Tan from Insightz Tech.
Hi.
Hi, welcome back.
Thank you for having me here.
Last session we talked about certain practical cases. You shared with us some lessons learned, right, of vigilance. Always stays vigilant, right?
Yes.
Now, in today's session, we want to talk about what are the future plans, right? Typically, in the some customer, right, they have certain, especially in the FSI industry, they have certain requirements, compliance requirements, right?
Sure.
Like for example, today they already have a 2FA solution, right? But somehow they're still vulnerable to attacks,
right?
So from that angle, from that perspective, can you share with us what are precaution steps, what are practical programs some of these organizations can?
Sure. Every industry itself has their own specific requirements. For regulated industries like FSI, we actually have a need to meet the TRMs, right? That's actually laid down by the Monetary Authority of Singapore. And one of the requirements really to have in place are multi-factor authentication. And we also see that there's a need for a continuous compliance program. These are all stated in the TRM guidelines. But I think sometimes we have to also note that despite putting in these technologies in place, complying to these regulatory requirements, things still do happen. Compliance doesn't mean security.
Right.
So what we want to do at the end of the day is to implement the technologies in alignment with the security posture, with the security environment that the customers have in place. So the customers itself, in adopting some of the security technologies, in having some of the security policies in place, they are relatively mature, especially for FSI, in the security maturity curve. But that doesn't really mean that they are secure.
Right.
There are still gaps that we need to actually identify. We talk about things like PAPT, boundary assessments and penetration testings. Often these are conducted on a periodic basis. And that is like a snapshot in time. Mm-hmm. It gives you an understanding of some of the application that's exposed publicly, either to the internet or to the public-facing systems itself, where it tells you what's happening, what are the likely risks that is that we can uncover in this exercise. But it doesn't really mean that it is continually being secure, because that's just only a snapshot in time. So on the defender's end, we have to be vigilant, right? We have to look at stuff that is not of the normal, is something that's abnormal, right? Anomalies that's being detected, and how do we then treat these anomalies that's being detected? Right. So first of all, we have to have good visibility. The second thing is that we have to have a understanding what's going on, right? A visibility of what's going on. How do we then baseline that? What is a normal traffic? What is a normal activity, behaviors, and what are the deviation from that? So these are things that we have to be aware of. And the question is, who is looking at this? Right? Could it be an internal team? Could it be an external outsourced team? It really depends. And on the skill sets, on the technology that you put in place to look at all this visibility and how we can then address it when deviation does happen. So I think the key thing about it is that we got to still maintain that vigilance, the culture of vigilance, despite the fact that we are complying to the guidelines, despite the fact that we have maybe a compliance framework in place, for example ISO 27001. We still have to be on a daily basis, right, to actually bring in the awareness to our colleagues, to our management, that security is a journey. It's not a project. It's not a IT issue. It's not a situation where only the experts can do it. Everybody have to participate.
Right.
hopefully this sharing itself will go in some way into bringing an understanding that it's always a continual effort on everybody's part. There's a lot of stress on the operation, especially on the IT side, to be up to date on what's happening. Sure, that is part of the job, unfortunately, right? But we can actually help to make somewhat the lives of these IT folks easier. Right? So we can actually do our part to make sure on our own, when we are working from home, remotely itself, what are the vigilance that we can put on personally, what are the policies that's already in place, and how we adhere and keep to that policies.
Oh, thanks for sharing once again. Right, today we understand that there's a VA and pen test program that the customer can sign up.
Yes, we have in place what we call the vulnerability assessment program, and we have what we call an external assurance program in that aspect itself. Whether it's for if you go down to the details itself, we call it credential scanning, non-credential scanning. Right? In essence, is it a black box testing or something that you give it to us as credentials, and we use that credential to test it. So we have these programs in place to provide visibility, and also subsequently from the findings and the reports that we come out, we will share that with you. We'll share the findings and recommendations to be mindful what are the gaps. Right. What are the risk areas that we glaringly that has been come out from the reports? What need to be addressed, and what are the practical steps to take from there? And these are programs that we can put in as part of our daily operation, as part of your compliance framework, as part of a service program. Right. So hopefully that would help our customers.
Yeah, definitely. Right. All right. Thank you once again for joining us.
All right.
Thank you for watching our YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe. Thank you.